Hey, everybody, another episode of Swarm Talk is about to start here on the Crowded Booth. Want to thank our sponsors, Section 103, the best Georgia Tech apparel that you can get. In today's episode, we're talking a little bit about the secondary. Can they improve? And a big reason why we're all asking it is the Georgia Tech success that they hope to have in 2022. It hinges on the back end of that defense. All that and more on today's episode of Swarm Talk, brought to you by the Crowded Booth in Section 103.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Hey everybody, fall camp is well underway as we get ready for the start of college football season. My name is Bryce Koon. If you're joining us for the first time and you're a Georgia Tech fan, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This is the only place where you get an interactive show all about Georgia Tech athletics. We're going to be talking it all season long. We've got some fantastic stuff that I'm just going to hold off on a little bit to announce for Georgia Tech fans that we are going to be releasing and doing some stuff new. But we hope that you will join us. We just hit 600 subscribers. Let's keep that number climbing. I challenged you last week, could we get to 600 before the start of college football season? Well, now I want to know, can we get to 700? Let's see if we can do just that. Let's talk a little bit about the secondary, because I think it is very, very important to look at what this group has to do. And we talked all offseason about, sorry, I said offseason. We talked all during the offseason, we'll say it again, about the transfers. Kenny Bennett, Amari Harvey, Kari G, all of these names that came in. And as I was doing some reading and doing some digging and thinking and watching clips of practice and watching some of the interviews, it struck me what was one of the few things that Geoff Collins said when he came onto campus. It was that competition is king. And I think we need to dive more into that if we want to determine what the success level of the secondary could be. Because, look, you have some veteran returners, Zamari Walton, obviously Jalen King. You got a lot of guys that are returning, but you've also got a lot of young guys. Clayton Powell-Lee has really, really impressed so far, the true freshman. He's shown really what he could do. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. But I want to talk about this because I think this is the biggest part missing from what you have to understand about where Georgia Tech is going to be able to find their success. We talked about it last year with, experience is better, and we learned that's not the truth whatsoever. But I think for this program and where they're at and talking with some people around the program, the only concern I would have and the only worry I would have and proving that the defense in the back end of the secondary would not improve is if they let age get in the way. If they let on-the-field experience get in the way. A lot of the transfers that came in were redshirt freshmen. A lot of guys that are in the program, maybe they transferred. They were hurt last year. But I think fall camp is a perfect time. And I wrote this down. I think Georgia Tech has to embody the mindset, and that defensive staff has to rise up to this idea that if you're good enough, you're old enough. Fall camp, to me, folks, is about figuring out who your best players are. And that shouldn't go along with a birth tag next to it. You have to figure out the best players that are at the college level, and it has to not have to do with age. Whether they're old or young, can they handle their job? Can they handle the mental aspect of what's going on? And so there's a lot of names we've talked about with Georgia Tech. I mean, some of the young guys, what they can do, what they can't do. And I think limiting, and this is what happened to the program last year. You rode with veterans for whatever reason. You rode that into the ground. Like you took the roller coaster and it never went back up, straight into the ground. But there's a lot of young talent on this team. It would be a crying shame to not invest in it right now and see what you have out there right now. And that's what fall camp is. Let's just don't start someone because they're a third-year player. Let's just don't start someone because they didn't transfer in. They're not brand new to the defense. No, let's start the best 11 on either side of the football and specifically on the back end. Because if Georgia Tech wants to improve, they've got to have the best 22. The best 22 on the field. 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and I'll even take you up another 11 on special teams. We'll make it 33. If they want to see improvement, it can't be because father played for the program. Someone has close ties with the program. No, it has to be the best 11, and feelings are going to get hurt. That's what college football is. That's what it has to be. Is the staff willing to step on the toes of certain players to get the best 11 out there? And for the sake of their jobs, I think they have to. You cannot coach in fear. I've said this multiple times on this show, in fear of the portal or in fear of a parent, of a kid leaving. We already talked about that. Or a kid getting mad. You have to put the best 11 out there or you will lose your job. And there's a lot of faces. It's a talented defensive back room. They've overhauled it completely. But this fall camp, they've got to find the right guys. We've talked multiple times, they're running a 4-2-5 defense. They've got to find the best 5. They've got to find the best nickelback. They've got to find the best 2 safeties. You can't fit the square peg into a round hole again. You already did that. You already played a guy at safety that should have been playing linebacker. You already played guys in the defensive backfield that couldn't tackle. You have to be able to correct your mistakes. Now, I've been one of the few people that's given Geoff Collins the leeway with this new staff, and I still believe that he could turn it around this year. He's got a new staff that is head and shoulders above where they were last year. And a lot of the chemistry issues were due to a divide on some of the staff aspects of it. But what they have to do is they've got to find the best 11. If they do not do that, if they roll out against Clemson with not anything less than the best 11 on the defensive side of the football, they're going to get gashed. They're going to get humiliated on a national stage. The Twitter groups, the message boards are all going to start calling for their job. And the Georgia Tech fan base is going to be pretty ticked off. But you need to understand why you need to be ticked off. You need to watch the film. You need to understand. And Saturday is going to be a big day. You're going to get to see a scrimmage. You're going to get to see things with Fan Day. And it's going to be a lot of fun to be a part of that. But this program has to get it right now. They've got to get things right now. Age should not come in way of starting someone. On the field experience should not block a player from playing. If he is the best, you've got to get him out there. Now listen, there's a big difference between a guy in the game being too fast for him. But if you have a young kid that is playing very, very well, and then you put on the pads and he continues to set the world on fire, he better be on that field. He better be a part of that best 11. I'm not as worried about the offensive side of the football in this. I'm really concerned about the defensive side of the football. Because if they don't line it up correctly, it's going to be bad. If they don't get the right guys in there. And we can sit here and talk about the storylines that even I've harped on all off season, is that the camaraderie and chemistry are there. That's great. But if you aren't as talented as the guy behind you, it doesn't matter when that all ACC tight end or that all SEC tight end and wide receiver tear you up down the whole field. And the quarterback can just pick you apart. We're going to get more in depth to different positional stuff and all this different kind of stuff. We're going to do some film breakdowns. It's going to be a lot of fun this season. But they've got to put the best 11. And so as we get into the season, as we get into some of these film breakdowns, we talk about what went wrong. I want you to go back to this episode. I want you to look back at what this is. Because for Georgia Tech to have that success, they've got to throw age, inexperience out the window. It is win now. It's win right now. I don't care if you're sitting 5 18-year-olds up there, if you've got a 22-year-old, 2 juniors, a senior, and a freshman, you have to find the best 11 to put there, and especially on the back end of the defense. It has to be better. You can't play somebody because they were alum of the program, they've got family ties. It has to be the best 11. Because I guarantee you the elite programs in college football aren't doing that. And you don't have to look far outside of Atlanta to find programs that don't care if the facts mean more than the feelings. And the fact of the matter is, Georgia Tech is in a win-now situation. They've got to be better, and they've got to find the best 11. Really appreciate you tuning in to this mini episode of Swarm Talk. We're going to have a lot more coming. I hope to see a lot of you this Saturday at Fan Day. My name's Bryce Koon. This is Swarm Talk. We're going to be talking more about the Jackets all season long. So, Jacket fans, hit the subscribe button, set up the notifications, save this playlist with Storm Talk on the Crowded Booth, and let's keep getting those numbers up. You all do a fantastic job. This is a show for you. It's the only place where we are organically growing a Georgia Tech falling from nowhere. I'm excited to do this with you all season long. This is another episode